I feel the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will have elite defense this upcoming NFL season in 2020. Now, for those of you guys who didn't watch a lot of Tampa Bay Buccaneers games last season, and you're just a guy who just goes off stats and things like that, the stats show that Tampa Bay's defense wasn't all that great last year. The only thing they were good at was stopping the run stats-wise. Stats-wise, they had the best run defense in the NFL. They allowed 73 rushing yards per game, which was #1 in the NFL. But other than that, they ranked near bottom in almost every stat on the defense side of football. And the stats are a misconception. The Buccaneers defense last season, in my opinion, was really good. But the stats don't show that. Because the Buccaneers were, on the defense side of football, they were always put in bad spots because of all the turnovers that the Buccaneers offense had last season. Mainly because of Jameis Winston throwing his 30 interceptions. And when he threw the 30 interceptions, the Buccaneers defense always had to come back on the field. They always had to get put in bad spots, like getting put in the red zone and things like that. So it's really impossible to have a great defense where your defenses are always in those spots. So with Jameis Winston gone and Tom Brady at the helm at quarterback, the Buccaneers offense shouldn't really be turning the football over at the rate that they did last season, which is going to help out that defense a lot. Now, this defense, talent-wise, is really good. A lot of people forget that the Buccaneers played a lot of young players last year. I believe in the last year's draft, they drafted basically all defense. So they had a lot of young rookies and a lot of young guys who've only been in the NFL for a few years who were playing last year. Let's start off with the defensive line. The defensive line last year for Tampa Bay was the best part of their defense. And the reason why is because they were really good against the run. I mean, everybody on their defensive line was exceptional when it came to ability to stop the run. I mean, you had Ndamukong Suh, who wasn't really all that good when it came to getting after the quarterback. He only had like 2.5 sacks, but he was really stout against the run last year, right? Then you also got to look at Vita Vea. Vita Vea, when he was healthy, this dude was an absolute stud. I mean, this dude is one of the fastest defensive linemen in the NFL. I mean, he has to be, man. This dude is really fast, really agile. You saw that. He was really good stop the run last year. You also had William Golston, who was really good stop the run last year. So this defensive line that the Buccaneers have is really good against the run. So the defensive line, without a doubt, last year was the best part of their defense. And I still think the defensive line going into 2020 is still probably going to be the best part of their defense. Then you got to look at the linebackers. So you got Devin White, who was a rookie last year. He had 91 tackles, 1 interception, 3 pass deflections, 3 forced fumbles, 4 fumble recoveries, and he returned 2 of those fumble recoveries for a touchdown. Now, Devin White had a really good rookie season. Now, a lot of people, some people might debate that because most people go on Pro Football Focus. Pro Football Focus is really weird because when I watched Devin White, I thought Devin White played better than the grade that Pro Football Focus gave him, which was a 50. I thought he was a lot better than that. And the reason why is because I think what makes a good linebacker is a linebacker that even when he's not making a play, like making a tackle or anything like that, he's around the proximity of the play happening. That means he has good instincts, he has good awareness, he knows what's going on. And that's what Devin White was always doing last year. I mean, this dude, every time I turned on a Tampa Bay Buccaneers game, this dude was always around the football. Even when he wasn't getting in on the tackle, he was somewhere around the plate. Then you also got to look at Lavonte David. A lot of people forget that Lavonte David is a former All-Pro. And last year, I felt Lavonte David was a Pro Bowl snub. He most definitely should have went to the Pro Bowl last year. I mean, he had 123 tackles, 7 pass deflections, 3 forced fumbles, and he was one of the highest graded linebackers by Pro Football Focus with a 89.2 overall grade. So I don't know how he didn't make it to the Pro Bowl, but when Lavonte David is healthy, he's one of the better linebackers that we have in the NFL. So Devin White should step up going into year 2. I think he will take a giant step. And we also know Lavonte David is really good as long as he's able to stay healthy. Then you got to look at the pass rush that they had. Shaquille Barrett, whatever you want to call him, however you want to pronounce his name, had a breakout season last year. He took the NFL by storm. He had 19.5 sacks. Now, will he be able to come close to that production this season? I'm not really expecting him to because it's really hard on a consistent basis for edge rusher in the NFL to come close to having 20 sacks year in and year out. And that's really weird. Like, only a few players in NFL history have really accomplished that feat, having like 20 sack seasons back to back or coming close to that. But I do believe Shaq Barrett most definitely will have double-digit sacks this year. He'll probably be around 14, 15 sacks. Then you also got JPP, Jason Pierre-Paul, who also had 8.5 sacks last year, and he only appeared in 10 games. So imagine if Jason Pierre-Paul would have played in every single game last year. He probably would have had 15 sacks. And him and Shaq Barrett, they're going to be one of the best pass rushing duos in the NFL this upcoming season, pending if both of those guys are able to stay healthy. So the thing that I'm most excited about for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense is not the defensive line. Even though we know the defensive line is going to be really good against the run this year, I'm not excited about the linebackers. It's not the pass rushing unit. The thing that I'm most excited about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense going into this year, which I feel is going to push them over that edge of becoming an elite defense, is their secondary. They got some young studs in that secondary. Let's start about their cornerback, Carlton Davis. Carlton Davis last year had a really good season. He had 19 pass deflections and 1 interception. But you want to know why nobody talked about him? Because people only focus on interceptions. People don't consider you a good cornerback or don't say you have a great season as a cornerback if you're not getting interceptions. And that's something that Carlton Davis wasn't able to do. Like, he was able to get his hands on the football, but he wasn't able to come down with it. He had 19 pass deflections and 1 interception. Imagine if he was able to come away with half of those pass deflections. He would have had 9 interceptions. He would have been an All-Pro. He would have been a Pro Bowler. He would have been probably one of the best cornerbacks in football. And a guy that he reminds me of a lot is Kyle Fuller for the Chicago Bears. For those of you guys who don't know, Kyle Fuller is one of the most underrated cornerbacks in the NFL. He's a top 10 cornerback. But early on in his career, he really struggled with coming down with interceptions. Like, he'll always have a lot of pass deflections, but he wasn't able to come down with those interceptions, and they will end up being drops and only getting counted as deflections. Now, Carlton Davis works on catching the football, working on, catching the ball in the air, whatever they do for defensive backs, like the defensive back drills they do and things like that, that helps you with timing interceptions and things like that. If he's able to come down with some more interceptions this upcoming NFL season, watch out, because he without a doubt is going to be an All-Pro cornerback and a Pro Bowler if he's able to have the kind of season he had last year and he's able to get his hands on at least half those interceptions. Because listen, if this dude had at least half those interceptions, he would have been a Pro Bowler. He would have been an All-Pro. A lot of people would have been talking about him. But since he only had 1 interception, wasn't able to come down with most of those, nobody really talks about him. So I think Carlton Davis is a guy who is really going to break out for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense this upcoming year. Then you also got Sean Murphy-Bunting, who I believe was a rookie last year. He was also pretty solid. He had 3 interceptions. He was really solid in my opinion. Then you also got guys like MJ Stewart, Jamal Dean. So I mean, this Tampa Bay Buccaneers secondary, in my opinion, is going to be really good. And I think that's what's going to make them an elite defense. Then I also can't forget about the safety. The safety that I really like the most is Antoine Winfield, the rookie out of Minnesota who the Bucs drafted in the 2nd round of this past year's NFL draft. I felt he was the best safety in this draft class. His dad was a former Pro Bowl cornerback for the Minnesota Vikings, and I feel Antoine Winfield, the only reason he didn't get drafted in the 1st round was because of his size. I mean, this dude has a high football IQ, he has great awareness, and this dude is an absolute ball hog. And don't be surprised if you see Antoine Winfield at the end of the season in the running for Defensive Rookie of the Year. I think he has that kind of talent to end up having that kind of impact on his Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense right away. Then you also got safeties Mike Edwards, Justin Evans, Jordan Whitehead. Don't really know what's going to happen, who's going to end up being the starters, but I do know that Antoine Winfield should end up being one of the starters on one of those safety spots. I don't really know the rest, but I mean, this Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, without a doubt in my opinion, will be an elite defense. Like, a lot of people just look at the stats and they say last year Tampa Bay didn't have a great defense. But if you say that, that just shows that you didn't watch the game. Because if you watch the Buccaneers games when Tampa Bay wasn't turning the football over, this defense was really good. And also, they had a lot of young players on that defense last year. I mean, the past draft that they had was mostly defensive players. So, I mean, this is a young defense. They got a lot of young pieces on that defense. I think this is the year that they finally put everything together, and they end up cementing themselves as one of the elite defenses in the NFL this upcoming NFL season. So, let me know what you guys think about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. How good do you guys think they will be this upcoming NFL season? Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and content, and thank you for watching.